Okay. Namaste. Welcome to the Advaita channel. Okay. Take 2. So, I was reading a Satsang with Ananta transcript, and I'm going to read a different one since I didn't have much luck with the other one, so we'll try this one. Okay. So, Father says, Namaste everyone. Namaste. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Muji Ji Ki Jai. Thank you all for joining in. For those of you who are coming in for the first time, you can ask your questions in the chat window. Namaste everyone. Namaste Deborah. Namaste Ramdas. If you can confirm to me that the audio and video are fine. Yes, okay. What would we like to talk about today? Namaste Shivani. Has a question. Please go ahead. Okay, Atma and Deborah are saying that they are not able to see. Can you please refresh your window once? Maybe you can refresh. Namaste Malika. Namaste Aradna. Okay, so we have 2 questions already. Let's look at question first. So this is from Satsang that Ananta holds weekly, Monday to Friday. So this is the start, how the Satsangs start, usually testing the sound and things like that. So, okay, so question. Says, Father, Nisargadatta says, I am made up of 5 elements. The rest of the question doesn't show up anymore, but the question was about the sense I am being made up of 5 elements. It does not seem to compute. It does not seem to be something that Maharaj would have said. Maybe something's got lost in translation. Namaste, Lucia. Hello.
Hi.
I'm trying a different transcript from Father's Satsang because the other one I did a couple of times. I started a few times, so.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
In case someone was watching and they don't want to do it a 3rd time round, I'll do a different one. So says, Father, Nisargadatta Maharaj says, I am made up of 5 elements. Father says, the rest of this question doesn't show up anymore, but the question was about the sense I am being made up of 5 elements. He says, that does not seem to compute. It does not seem to be something that Maharaj would have said. Maybe something got lost in translation. So it is the 5 elements which are made up of consciousness. But the I am cannot be made up of the 5 elements. Everything is made up of this consciousness. From this supremely intelligent being, this whole universe is made up. But it cannot be made up of these 5 elements, because that would presume that the 5 elements were prior to the birth of I am. But that is now seen, experientially and truly, that it is the other way around. First I am, and then the universe, the phenomenal universe is. So that may have been some translation error, or it could be something else. He says, here is a question. Ananta was here is a question. Ananta was just in bed today with a migraine and stayed present. Ananta was just in bed today with a migraine and stayed present, but was using quantum healing. Avatar. I don't know what this is, Father says. A Course in Miracles as tools to heal it. Is that me or God doing it? Just watching it all, the things happening. Father says yes. Everything is being done by consciousness itself. That is the one doer. There is no other doer anyway. So just remember that it is only you as consciousness who are the doer, because you as a person do not exist at all. So an idea cannot do anything. And I am a person is only an idea. It has no reality whatsoever. We cannot even point out this person from a phenomenal perspective, isn't it? The body we can point out, the objects we can point out, the whole universe we can point out. The phenomenal universe we can point out from a phenomenal perspective. And then we can agree to call it either illusion or real. That's fine. But this person does not even have a phenomenal existence. That's why I joke. That's why I joke and say that it is a second level illusion. It's not even a first level illusion. It's a second level illusion. Just an idea. Not even a phenomenal existence anywhere. Therefore, it has all been done by consciousness itself, no? But I don't feel that if there's some suffering arising, so don't feel that if there is some suffering arising, then you will know that consciousness itself seems to be playing this game of being deluded by the idea of being a person, and creates these scenarios of suffering. Even that is being done by consciousness alone, no? So this in Satsang is consciousness speaking to consciousness, and reminding consciousness that it could never have been a person. It could never have been a person at all. What to do? It likes to play the game in this way. I do not believe ultimately that it can get deluded even. Maybe it was just too bored, and it wants to play like this. This is why it brings itself to Satsang. And in Satsang, it is reminding itself that it was never this person. There must be some joy in this for consciousness itself. So no, it was not the person. It is never the person. It is only consciousness that is doing anything. And even now, the talking and listening is happening through consciousness and with consciousness, made up of consciousness alone. Father says, much love, Ian. Mom says, he calls it food body. He calls it food body even sometimes. The food body is this body. I'm saying, Nisargadatta Maharaj calls it food body sometimes. The food body is this body. And why he calls it food body is that it is clear, when we call it the food body, that I cannot be made up of food. I cannot be made up of the food that I've eaten. Therefore, when we realize that the body is just made up of the food that we've eaten, something intuitively realizes that I cannot be this body. It is only an instrument which is here, all part of consciousness alone. That's why he refers to it as a food body. But he could not have called that sense I am the food body, that's for sure. That is for sure. Shilpa says, I am not able to hear you, Anantaji. My father says, the rest of you are able to hear me? Also remember, Shilpa and others who are here for the first time, that there is about a minute's lag between the chat and the video that you see. So if I'm not responding to you right there on time, just know that it is because the video is coming to you 1 minute later. Okay, so it seems like the audio is okay. So let's go on to Shilpa's question, because it sounds like now that she's able to hear me. So Shilpa says, what is the use of the material body in our life if we only have to give importance to our consciousness? So much love, Guruji. Father says, what is the use of the material body in our life? First, if we are completely clear that I am the awareness within which all of this is arising, then we will know that this body is only an instrument which is used in the Leela of experiencing as a person. We're always the awareness alone. This body is here just as a tool to enable this personal experiencing in some way. Distracted by you. In a good way. In a good way. It's nice to have you there.
I finally made it to one of these. And it was you, isn't that wonderful?
Okay, okay. That's interesting. So just because we wear a virtual reality helmet, a virtual reality headset, does not mean that we become the virtual reality headset. Because like who had posted, was it Dee or was it Deborah, who posted that looking for a true being inside the body is like looking for the announcer inside a radio. But just because it is an instrument of experiencing, we cannot confuse it to be me. I like that. Can you read that again? Um, Looking for the true being inside the body is like looking for the announcer inside a radio. But just because it is an instrument of experiencing, we cannot confuse it to be me. We cannot confuse it to be what I am. We have experienced many different instruments in our dream states. We have lived many different lifetimes in our dream state. In all of those, we have as real feeling or as real experiencing as we seem to have here. But all of this is just a projection of consciousness itself. So we do not want to make use feel like it wants to. So we cannot. So all we can do is let it unfold in its own beauty, the way it wants to, without pretending to be the doer of anything at all. The person is not real, and hence cannot do anything at all. And the person cannot even make use of this knowledge that I am not the person.
Hi, sweetie.
The person cannot do anything at all. So if you're still looking from a personal perspective, this knowledge will not be useful. This knowledge will not be useful to us. So this knowledge is meant to bypass the person and speak with consciousness itself. And consciousness will recognize that I have never been this person. 2 seconds. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay, where are we? A lot of chat has happened. Dorothy says, will you tell about the heart? I can feel the third eye strongly when I do inquiry. How do I feel in the heart? Okay, yes. So this is a very good question. Many people have this question of what is the heart, which is referred to. Can you hear okay?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
It's breaking up a little, but it's okay.
So when I'm referring to the heart, I'm referring to the seat of consciousness itself. In fact, to the consciousness itself, within which the sense I amness, the beingness seems to arise from this area of the heart. We're not in any way referring to the physical heart at all. So we're referring to the sense of beingness or I amness, which is ever present here. This is the heart that we are referring to.
Yeah.
So without this I amness, even the blue light in the third eye cannot be experienced. Can you say that I was not, and only this blue light was? No, there was you, and you experienced this blue light. And for this world of duality, this world of experiencing, first there must be a you to exist, and then everything else can exist. So this birth of the I am itself, is what we're referring to as the heart. And to experience this, we must not try to do anything at all. You don't need to do anything at all. You'll find that when you let go of everything, you're still here. Can you not be here? Can you not be here now?
Impossible.
So you know that you are still here. This presence of me, this presence of I amness, is the heart that we are referring to. And this will become apparent to you by being in Satsang. And I completely understand where you're coming from, because after I read I am that for the first time, there was also a lot of confusion here about this sense I am, and why I am not being able to experience this I am. And one day, when the earnestness was there, it just made itself apparent to me that I couldn't see it, because it was always present. You turn to miss something which is always there. Can you stop being now? You cannot stop being now. So this being, which you cannot stop, is a sense, I amness, or the heart that I am referring to.
So beautiful, isn't
Yes. Okay, Shurish Nair says, is consciousness and awareness the same?
it? Sorry, I have to take it.
Father says, let me put it this way. Let me put it to you in a very simplistic way.
Hey, child, what's up?
Yeah,
Okay,
do you want to just mute the mic?
okay. Alright, okay. Oh. Alright, okay. Okay, alright. Thanks. Ciao. Ciao. Sorry, Shivani.
You might have to mute the mic unless you want to talk.
Ah, sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
Sorry, I'm still learning this.
It's okay. I'm
My,
learning too.
my son rang me 3 times and I thought it may have been important, so I had to answer it. I'll remember next time.
Alright. Yeah. So, where did we go? Yeah. So, Suresh there says, is consciousness and awareness the same? Father says, let me put it this way. Let me put it to you in a very simplistic way. Awareness is the seeing which is always present. And consciousness is the being which is always present. And can you stop being, or seeing, or being aware? You cannot. So it is always present. And you cannot stop being. You cannot stop being, which is ever present. So that is the difference between awareness, which is the seeing, and consciousness, which is the being. With that simple definition, it should be pretty clear. Okay, there's another question. One says, Dear Ananta, if more persons realize his true nature, can consciousness change his play? One says, yes. To be free from this idea of being a person leads to so much auspiciousness to happen with everything around us. Through this body also becomes an instrument of love itself. That is the general experience. But still, if we have this infection of this personal identity trying to get something through this realization, then that personal identity first will need to be cleaned up. And when there are no expectations at all, even of this, of how the person's life will turn out, and whether it will be auspicious or not, and whether it will be beautiful or not, when all these expectations are dropped, then it is usually seen that it occurs in a very, very beautiful way. All that happens through you will be so beautiful, so beautiful. I won't be a second. This is what can you find the window? Can you find more for money while I read? Coming? Bob. Yes. Can you find me for mom? Because I'm reading. Oh. Okay. The father says, if more persons realize his true nature, can consciousness change his play? Father says yes. To be free from this idea of being a person leads to so much auspiciousness to happen with everything around us. His body also becomes an instrument of love itself. But still, if we have this infection of this person identity trying to get something through this realization, then that personal identity first will need to be cleaned up. And when there are no expectations at all, even of this, of how the person's life will turn out, and whether it will be auspicious or not, and whether it will be beautiful or not, when all these expectations are also dropped, then it is usually seen that it occurs in a very, very beautiful way. All that happens to you will be so beautiful, so beautiful. Question, there's a question that says, Dear Ananta, can we do some inquiry now together? Thanks. Father says, before that, we'll just look at this question, which is I am ever present? Can presence ever not be? I read something by Rupert Square, and he said that presence always is. Is presence and knowing of presence the same? Or, sorry, is presence and knowing of presence the same, or are some way different? In some way different. The father says, okay, well, let's look at this. Very interesting. So we are clear now. Galaxy is clear now that awareness is all there is. So awareness is all there is. Therefore, even this presence of I amness, the beingness, has to be made up of awareness itself. What else is there? Nothing. So it must be made up of awareness itself. So this being is a modulated form of this awareness itself. Awareness means what? That there is a presence of awareness here. And there is being here, which means awareness. And once this gets modulated into me, there is a being here. This means the presence of consciousness. This means the presence of consciousness. No? So this means, sorry, so this I am this is what I am referring to as consciousness. And consciousness and awareness are ultimately the same. It's just the way in which they play out. The awareness is the pure perceivingness itself, and consciousness is the pure beingness itself. But ultimately they are the same. Just to use language now, but don't let it confuse you. We are aware that there is an awareness of a presence here, isn't it? So we are aware that there is an awareness of a presence. Just to simplify, say that I am aware that I am seen means there is awareness of awareness itself. I'll say that again. I am aware that I am seen means there is awareness of awareness itself. So there are states in which this I amness, or this beingness, is not there, like the deep sleep state. Even this I amness is not there, but there's a presence of awareness. So he must be referring to this presence of awareness when he was talking about it being ever present. So he's talking about Rupert. I am referring right now to the presence of beingness itself, Atma, or whatever you might want to call it, which is usually referred to as a presence. In the pure seeingness, there arises this presence of beingness, I-amness. But ultimately, both are the same, because awareness is all there is.
So obvious, isn't it? How beautiful. He explains it beautifully, doesn't he?
So both are ever present. Therefore, oh, okay, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just to use language, oh no, we're done. Okay. So both are ever present. Therefore, it must be about the, and then it gets interrupted. I think. Okay, so let's slow down. I think he got interrupted because he stopped speaking halfway through a sentence. Oh gosh. In the waking state, both are ever present. And in the dream state, both are ever present. So in any state where we can report from, both are ever present, right? Now in deep sleep, or deeply meditative states, when this presence of I am itself seems to not be there, but there's a knowing that there is not even this I amness. So awareness even of this. So there is awareness even of this, no? So this knowing that there is awareness but not beingness is being aware of awareness itself. And for those of you who are new here and you're getting completely confused by this, don't even worry at all. Just let it go. It will become all very clear very soon. Arev has a question. He says, what should we do if someone close to us has severe anxiety sickness? It is very consuming. One says, If someone close to you has severe anxiety sickness or disorder, then we must first see if they have any openness to listening to us. And if there is an openness to listening to us, then we can share with them what our learning has been. We can share with them the inquiry, and this can be very useful. Whatever they are open towards, we can share with them. But in many cases, I've seen that this openness is just not present. Then we have to just trust life and let it go, and let life decide when they will become open to this. Until then, we must be completely compassionate with them, completely loving with them, but don't get anxious about their anxiety. No, you bless them with your presence itself. You bless them with your presence itself, and don't let that anxiety make you anxious. Let your pure presence bless them, but you stay as the self itself. And if you sense that there is some openness, please go ahead and share. You can even invite them to Satsang. It is the best thing for them. But in most cases, I've seen that openness is not there. And eventually it comes, when there is a deep realization within that being, within that being, that there must be something done now to break out of this. So, consciousness will play its role in that way also. You trust love. You trust God and consciousness to bring that person to their lesson when they are ready. Father says, okay, I'm running through the questions. Shanti says, Father, I want to expose something. There's been a feeling of superiority, and now I see so much of this person's sense of superiority that I'm feeling very repulsed. It is seen, but it is very dominant. Father says, once you have seen it, Shanti, then it cannot dominate you anymore. It is very beautiful that you've come to this scene of arrogance. Because only from this kind of personhood is arrogance. Because in that we feel that the person is required to help God run this world, and to help God run my life. That's such an arrogant belief, which most of humans are carrying. But once we get exposed to this, and once we start to see this, and it cannot stay for long. So it's very auspicious that you've started seeing it now, that there is a sense of superiority or arrogance. And in your seeing of it, it will start to dissolve now. Don't try to force it out. Don't try to make any special efforts to do anything at all. You just be yourself. Be the seeing of all of this, and it will not last. It will not last. But it's very good, because how many beings can expose this kind of inquiry, or this kind of finding, in an open type Satsang environment. It is very beautiful. And in that itself shows that the arrogance has no chance in your case. It has no chance in your case. Shilpa says, one of the practices we must do or remember while meditating to know more about the inner self and differentiate it from the superficial person. Father says there are many practices, but I will point you to the simplest one. The simplest one. The simplest one is to let go of all your thoughts. What do you mean by meditation? Meditation means to not be distracted by what is false, and to stay with what is true. No? So the simplest way to do that is to just let go of all your thoughts. And then you will see that this is the simplest form, or simplest technique, but yet the most powerful way to get you to this point. Most practices are just a build up to this point, no? So that seems to be a trick. If we can just let go of our thoughts now, then really no practice is required, and all will become apparent. The true nature is ever present, and it will be clearly seen. So no major effort is required. No spiritual push-ups are required. No 10-year practice plan is required. No phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 program is required. Right now you can find your freedom. Right now you are free until you believe the next thought. But if there is strong resistance coming to this very simple practice, then you let me know, and then we can see what else can be prescribed. But if I'm a doctor, I'm giving you the simplest medicine right now. which is to let go of your thoughts. If it feels like there's too much resistance, something is too strong, and it doesn't go, which I don't feel is the case with you actually, not from conversations that we've had. Because very simply you're able to let go now. And you're finding the fruits of this very simple practice already. But if there is some trouble, don't stress about it. Just expose it. Either here in Satsang, or you can tell me on the chat, and then we can look at what can be prescribed. Ananta says, it's like I'm a child who is being watched by the parents, and there is a disappointment of the child's behaviour. Yes, Father says yes. The mind is something which can only be let go of. You will not be able to reform this child. You will not be able to make it into something which is a good child. The quality of your thoughts will not change from attack and defense to something else now. It will only try to trick you in this way. So have no expectations from this child, which is our mind itself, or our thoughts itself. Have no expectations from this child. You just let it go. And once you let it go, and once you're free from the dominance of this tension-flowing child, and you'll find that you can use this child as an obedient pet. So to use it as an obedient pet is a better analogy than to look at it as a child. Johan says, Beloved, can you explain? The Course in Miracles says, sickness is a defense against the truth. Is that because nothing can ever be wrong with who you truly are? Yes. Johan says yes. So the simplest explanation is what you just gave. Also, the mind is a trickster, isn't it? So the minute we get close to understanding, it will give us a lot of attack thoughts. It will give us a lot of other kind of thoughts to pull us back in. Now, one of the trump cards it has, it will play with this body. It will play with this thing and create these ideas of suffering. And once we buy into the idea that I am suffering, then it becomes a successful ego defense against the truth. Because the idea I am suffering or I am sick refers to I as a person. That means the ego has become dominant again, no? So it plays all of these tricks. It becomes a defense against the truth in this way. But if you keep with the inquiry, or you keep with the surrendering, then this will also be let go of. You will be completely unconcerned. The body will fall sick. The going to a doctor, the taking of the medicine, the healing of the body, or the not healing of the body, all of that you will be completely unconcerned with. You will not decide to ignore the sickness or to pay too much attention to it. All will unfold on its own. I'm going to read that again, that part again. One of the trump cards it has, it will play with this body. It will play with this thing and create these ideas of sickness. It will create these ideas of suffering. And once we buy into the idea that I am suffering, then it becomes a successful ego defense against the truth. Because the idea I am suffering or I am sick refers to I as a person. That means the ego has become dominant again. So it plays all of these tricks. It becomes a defense against the truth in this way. But if you keep with the inquiry, or you keep with the surrendering, then this will also be let go of. You will be completely unconcerned. The body will fall sick. going to the lesson or the not healing of the body, too much attention to it. All will unfold on its own. Don't let your mind enter into any of these windows. For sickness, it is very easy for the mind to enter any of these windows. First, we try to block it with our knowledge that I cannot be sick now. I am spiritual. Don't believe all this nonsense. Sickness can still arise in the body. Consciousness can still play in this way. Then it can say, I am going to heal myself using my knowledge. All of these are still very egotistic ways of using this knowledge. You say that I am the pure watching of this. Let everything play out. Or you say that I am the pure watching of this. Let everything play out in the way it is meant to. Be completely neutral about all of this. And what is meant to happen will happen. If going to a doctor happens, then going to a doctor will happen. If going to a doctor doesn't happen, then going to a doctor doesn't happen. But in the knowing of your true nature, you will not be concerned. You will not be concerned. It is like, I sometimes tell people, that it is like a nice car that you have. This body is like a nice car that you have. If you feel that it has broken down, there is no harm taking it to the mechanic. But don't believe that you have broken down. But don't believe that you have broken down. So when the car breaks down, don't expect spirituality to make the car work, because that is again coming from the ego place. And yes, if some prayer happens, if some deep inquiry happens as a result of the sickness, it is fine. Just don't say that it is me that is sick. Just don't identify that you are the body that is sick. Because in that way it becomes a defense against the truth, because you have never been the body. So Facebook 200 says, Good morning, Ananta, namaste. There is a feeling that all that is here is just a perception of senses, and that is it. Everything seems so simple, so vast, yet there are still flare-ups of ego from time to time. Father says, yes, and momentarily, if that happens, that is absolutely fine. But it is not just the perception of senses. But it is not just the perception of senses. So let's look at the first part of what you said first. So there's a feeling that when the senses are open, there's just a perceiving of all of this. And I am not separate from the seeing or this perceiving. Therefore, I am this awareness itself, no? No? But it is not just the senses. It's like our internal objects, like thoughts, memories, imaginations. These are perceived without the use of our senses also, without the use of our outer senses. So there's a perceiving even of these internal objects which come and go. So this perceiving does not need to rely on the senses to perceive. It is independent of even the bodily senses. But as an instrument, it does capture some frequencies, which is okay. But perceiving is not dependent on the bodily senses. That is a point I wanted to make clear to you first. See, perceiving is not dependent on the bodily senses. Second point was that this awareness will wipe out everything now. Will wipe out everything now that you've come to this truer understanding of your true nature. All will get wiped out. But drop this expectation that nothing should flare up momentarily. These flare-ups will continue to happen, but you will find that you're not able to hold on to any of the anger. You're not able to hold on onto any of the irritation. You're not able to hold on to resentment. All of this will just come and go. And in that way, we free ourselves from this suffering. We are now free from this suffering. Okay. Father says, good. So did I miss out on any questions? He says, oh, there are some more. Niall says, just got here from work. Sorry I'm late. No worries. Namaste. Namaste. Deborah says, Ashanti says, yes, it is hard to expose. I waited for a while before giving this to you. Father says, that's okay. Once it is given, it is given. It is wonderful that you are able to expose this. Very good. Shilpa says, thank you, Guruji. So much love. I'm feeling so much peace with your words. Father says, yes, very good. And Johan says, beloved, there is also arrogance and superiority here. I feel like I am a fraud. I place it at your holy feet. Father says, very good. Namaste, very good. Father says, once it is seen that the idea of a person was just an idea, then all these cannot survive. I am not worried at all about this. Very good, very good. So Niall says, Father, I keep constructing out of Vita concepts. I'm very good at this process. It often results in beautiful peace, but I also hate it because it's not true being. I just wanted to expose this to you. Ananta says, Father, I keep constructing out of Advaita concepts. Can you take an example of what you mean by this constructing? For those of you who are here for the first time, all questions can be asked in the chat window. Niall says, I make up an intellectual imaginary version of my being. Yes. It is very common that this happens. When we hear about this, then the mind immediately comes up and creates a visual out of this, or an intellectual concept out of this. And many beings get stuck with this visual of who we are. So many beings imagine this vast black space as awareness, and we start to believe that this vast black space is what I am. It is not. There is a perceiving of even this visual. So this perceiving, or this awareness, is what we are. Similarly, it will create strong concepts that I am awareness alone, and all of this. So once you have seen this, this will now dissolve. And now that you've exposed it in Satsang, you'll find that this will start to fade away for you. Know that anything that can be perceived cannot be you, no matter how beautiful the imagery, no matter how convincing the statement. Once they are perceived, it cannot be you. I'm going to read that again. Know that anything that can be perceived cannot be you, no matter how beautiful the imagery, no matter how convincing the statement. Once they are perceived, it cannot be you.
Thank you for reading that again. That's pretty powerful.
I'm going to highlight that. Brilliant.
That's a good one. Hi, Ruby. Hi, it's Lucia. Hi. I love your haircut.
Yes, Lucia. Lucia.
Close enough.
Okay. And Shivani said something very beautiful yesterday. She said, no matter what it is, it is seen. I found that very beautiful. No matter what it is seen. Therefore, the seeing is prior to it. And I am that awareness itself. So it doesn't matter what the content is, no matter how horrific or sublime it is, because the seeing is completely untouched by the content. Father says, he says, I then engage with it deeply and feel peaceful. And of course it goes away. He's saying what Niall was speaking about. he says, I then engage with it deeply and feel peaceful. And of course it goes away. Father says, yes. It is like a spiritual practice. You know it is like a spiritual practice. It has no permanent solution for you, but it gives you temporary relief. But ultimately it is an answer. You know, or just having a painkiller without diagnosing what the real disease is. So we feel, imagine, sorry. So we feel, imagine beautiful heaven. I'm in beautiful heaven, surrounded by angels. It will feel good for a while, but it will not last, because nothing that is seen, nothing that is imagined in this way will give us permanent peace and joy, which will come from the true understanding of who we are. Nothing that is imagined in this way will give us a permanent peace and joy, which will come from a true understanding of who we are. And that is sorry. And that is very simple, to look and see who is the seer of even this beautiful imagery. Then we don't need to pay any attention to the imagination, because we're completely content with who we are. Okay. Ustream81 says, I'm very happy and at peace. Your words are very clear. I feel expanded. I feel expanded space. Wonderful. Father says, wonderful. Like I say, Satsang is not just in the words. You are feeling the presence of Satsang now, the presence of the Satguru in your own heart. That is very beautiful. So this is what I say in the prasad, is the prasad of being in Satsang. Very good. Ruchir says, Father, there is infinite space here. I cannot find where I start or where I finish. Only much peace is here. There is infinite space here. I cannot find where I start and where I end. It is very beautiful. And this space is not a visual. It can be expressed as the mind in a visual terminology, but it is not a visual space which you are referring to. It is a sense of awareness which expresses itself as pure spaciousness. So, in that sense, it is a knowing space. In that sense, it is a seeing space, within which even God takes birth. Even consciousness takes birth within you. Therefore, no words are enough to sing your praises now. They can be words which praise your attributes. We can praise you as Rama the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva the destroyer, but no word can capture who you really are. Only some aspect of what emerges from within you can be praised. So to refer to you as God himself is not enough, actually. Who can take these words? Just even to call you God is not enough description for what you are. Very good. No words that the world can use now can accurately describe you. They may call you Bhagavan, or they might call you the worst insult. None of that which is being said is you. You are the great indescribable one. And these are not just fancy words. This is not an egotistic speaking which is happening here. It is pointing you to what you truly are, and pointing you to let go of all the nonsense which arises in our minds, which deludes you and confuses you about what your true nature is. It's almost like God has come to this rehab to remember that he was God. Satsang is, you are not a beggar chasing love, chasing peace, chasing joy. All of these come from within you itself. This is your true position. And you need to go nowhere to find this. Right here you can see this. Just don't believe the testimony of the snake. Let go of the mind. And this is here for you to see that this is completely true.
Thank you for reading that. That was a while ago.
Atma says, "Hey Father, mind is trying to say something, but nothing is coming out. It's very good. That's very good. Just pure awareness is here. Yes, God has come to rehab, to Satsang, to remember that you are God. So if it's too much for you to know that God gives birth inside you, just remember that at the very least, you are God. At the very least, you are God. This is the true position. This is the reality. How long will you play this game of person to person? Are you not tired of it already? What more do you need to know, and what more do you need to learn? What more do you need to get? Where do you want to go? What are you chasing now? Drop all of it right now. Be with me completely as one, and together we will see that this is the truth. What more do you need to know? And what more do you need to learn? What more do you need to get? Where do you want to go? What are you chasing now? Drop all of it right now. Be with me completely as one, and together we will see that this is the truth. The mind will not understand this. Let it go. Don't convince your mind about anything at all. That is just a trick. You let it go. And together we see this. Right? We see this. Here, right now. Even if it is your first satsang, you can see this. Don't believe your mind's voice. Eternal freedom is here. I have come to take you home. Come home with me now. You are free forever and ever. How long do you want to struggle like this? How long will you wait for some pittance? How long will you wait for some pittance of some love, some happiness, some joy? It is available in unlimited amounts from here. You stay with me. Stay with me, and then tell us whether this is true or not. Don't believe your mind's testimony about anything at all. Just let go. I have made it very simple for you. Just let go. Nothing else needs to be done. In fact, when letting go happens on its own, even that is no doing. So let's just be in silence for a few minutes without the dog barking. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Father says, thank you all so much for joining us. It was beautiful. Uji Ki Jai.
Ruji Ji Ki Jai.
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 Ananta Ji Ki Jai.
Ananta Ji Ki Jai.
Father says, he says here, namaste and blows kisses.
This was wonderful, Shivani. Thank you so much.
I love reading that. I love reading
I just love hearing these words. It's so beautiful.
it. So, thank you, Mr. F, for coming.
Thank you so much. Love you.
I'll see you Friday. Oh no, Tuesday, Wednesday. Another reading
Bye.
on Wednesday.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.